Flames Nation, Noah, we're back. We got through our pilot episode of Shot Down in Flames, and we're here for episode 1 right before the playoffs kick off. We got Dallas on Tuesday. Noah, how are you feeling about that?
Printzy, everybody listening to the episode whenever it comes out. It's Sunday. We're recording right now, so it probably will be out either tomorrow or on game day on Tuesday. I mean, I guess we'll see what Printzy's schedule is in regards to that. But man, 2 days away from game 1. But more importantly, we're 1 day away from the start of it all. So it's exciting. It's I got the adrenaline flowing right now, man.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear you're fired up, and we're going to share some stuff that Flames Nation is going to do in a little bit. My question to you two here is, I was watching this, well, not watching a scoreboard, watching my phone. You know, we'll get into this one too a little bit. I spent the weekend with the OilersNation crew, and those guys can go. But on Saturday night, we were at the bar and we were scoreboard watching on our phones. We thought for sure it was Nashville, right? Because Dallas would have won the game. Dallas had to go up against an E-bug. Like, come on, like against Anaheim, and then Nashville was up 4-0, I think, in the first period. So we're like, oh, that's a write-off. We got Nashville, right? Because they're gonna win. They're gonna get the 2 points. They're gonna do whatever. And then what the hell happened in that game? Like, the Arizona Coyotes came back. That was insane, man. So I don't know if you were scoreboard watching at all, but I definitely was.
Yeah, I was scoreboard watching, but then I was watching the game itself as well between Nashville and Arizona.
Right.
Nashville went up 4-0, and it was like, after that, it was like, okay, it's gonna be Nashville then at the Saladome on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But then 4-0 became 4-1, 4-1 became 4-2, and then 4-2 became 4-3. It's like, okay, what is going on here?
They were freaking out.
Nashville came out to tie it. And then all of a sudden the Coyotes went up by 5-4. It's like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, I went from thinking we had Nashville to Dallas, but at the end of the day, I don't think it, to me, in my opinion, I don't think it really matters. I mean, obviously Nashville's handicapped without a goalie. They've got the bigger body team, I think. So what are your overall thoughts, Noah, right now, just thinking heading into Dallas? I know everybody automatically reverts to 2020, but I think both teams are completely different than when they were.
Different team, different style. I mean, you're going to have a coach who at least knows what he's doing, instead of pulling your goaltender after giving them a 3-0 lead, and you have a chance to take a timeout at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Good
point.
Yeah, 100% is different than the bubble, man. I mean, I'm not scared of Dallas one bit. I think the Flames will not handily take this series, because I still don't think it's going to be an easy series regardless, because, I mean, even regardless, though, no series will be easy.
Yeah, agreed.
But if I were to handicap it, though, I think Flames in 6.
Flames in 6. That's what I have too. Dallas is still a fairly big bodied team. I don't think they didn't have Robertson when we played them up in the bubble. They had Pavelski and stuff like that too. Miro Heiskanen just absolutely dominated us, but I still think we're deeper on the defense and the players that we've added. Like, I was Darren Haynes tweeted out the rosters that the Flames had in 2020. And starting in the bubble, we had Tobias Reeder on the top line. So I think things are a little bit different than they were back then. Are you worried about Bannon Seguin waking up at all? And that was something that they had been talking about on the Fan. As I was driving up to Edmonton, I heard them say, well, if Bannon Seguin just wake up and start playing, that could be some serious trouble.
It could be. So you have to keep on those two, because they could wake up at any minute and kill this team like they've had many years in the past. So, I mean, but I'm fairly confident the defense will be able to keep Seguin and Ben off their game and trying to score goals.
Yeah, I agree with you, Noah. I agree with you there for sure. So my question to you, Noah, is, are you going to any Flames games for the playoffs?
I'm going to game 1 on Tuesday night.
Nice, man. Nice. You got a good spot. Are you up in the press levels? Where you at?
Correct. I'm in PL2, row 6.
They ain't nothing wrong with the press levels, man. Everybody here who is listening has viewed a game, whether it's a playoff game, a regular season game, up in the press levels, man. As long as you're in the building, it's still a good spot.
1,000%, man. Best seats in the house. And the craziest spot in the Saladome. Without a doubt.
So good to know that Noah's going to be at the game on Tuesday. And yeah, as Noah mentioned, we're going to try to get this podcast out as soon as possible because things are going to get a little logged down before the game. So we'll have Noah down at the Saddle Dome. I don't even have to tell him to do this. He's going to film stuff anyway. So we're going to put up some of his stuff on Flames Nation. So be sure to check that out. So to parlay game 1 into game 2, Flames Nation, we're actually going to do something unique and cool. I guess is something that hasn't really been done at Flames Nation before. So we are going to be having our first ever Flames Nation meetup at the Red Lot viewing party just outside of the Saddle Dome on Thursday night. So I've done that before in the past. I think they did in 2019, and it was an absolute bout. It was an absolute blast. It kind of reminded me of doing Stampede a little bit, but with a Flames game, and the entire crowd is red. So we're going to be doing that. Noah's going to come down with me. I believe Shane Flash, he's coming down too. You never know. I got the message. There might be a special guest appearance by the man himself. Ryan Pike might actually make an appearance. So we'll see about that one. Noah, how you feeling about viewing the game as a member of Flames Nation from the Red Lot for the first time?
It's gonna be cool, man. I'm pretty much looking forward to it. And I went there for the pregame before game 2, before I went into the Saddle Dome.
Yeah.
And then I went for game 5.
Yeah.
And after that game, I left in complete depression in the rain. Like
Yeah.
it was horrible.
I think we're both still cautiously optimistic about this year. So that's why we've
Yes.
kind of picked game 2. So we're not going to watch the game on an elimination night where we could essentially get punted. So we knew Noah was going to game 1. So we wanted to do game 2. So Flames Nation fans, we are going to get there early. Noah and I will probably be there around, I'd say 6 o'clock at least, get there a couple hours early. We're going to nail down a spot. We're going to film exactly how to get to that spot, put it out there everywhere on our social media. So if you guys are down there, just come say hi, say what's up to us. We were going to mention this several times on podcasts going forward that Noah and I were on a mission to grow Flames Nation as much as possible. Flames
Correct.
Nation is a big brand already right now, but we need to get this thing up there. We need to build our army because we are being outmanned by the crew at Oilers Nation right now, and we want to add some people to our team. So if you want to come down and say what's up to us, we're going to be at the Red Lot viewing party once again. That's game 2 at about 6 o'clock, and I will break this that we will have a little bit of Flames Nation swag with us that we might be handing out at the game. So Noah, if you got any buddies, man, tell them, get them down here. We want your friends here, Noah.
Yeah, to all my friends who are listening to this show, please come down. It would mean a lot to the podcast. It would mean so much to the brand. So yes, please come on down.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we've got our thoughts in on Dallas. We're gonna just officially put it out there. We're both saying Flames, Flames in 6. A quick question for you, Noah. I know this is a Flames podcast. But I kind of want to get your thoughts on the other series up in Northern Alberta. What are your thoughts on Edmonton and the Kings?
Man, this is not going to make the folks at Oilers Nation happy. I have got LA in 6.
LA in 6, really?
Yep. I look at it because I don't think a lot of people are really underestimating that top 2 center of Kopitar and Donald.
Right.
Very shut down defensive offense that they've got in LA. Jonathan Quick is playing very well at the right time, and he has the pedigree of the Stanley Cup wins. And I think LA's got a lot to prove in these playoffs. I mean, with their old core. I mean, minus Drew Doughty, and they still have Dustin Brown, who is retiring at the end of the year. So this is LA's last kick at the can. And my biggest thing about the Oilers is their season has been up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And can Mike Smith hold the fort? That's like the biggest concern, I think, for the Oilers. And if LA stays out of the box, pretty big advantage there for the Kings.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, those are some valid points. I do think they're probably gonna line match Kopitar against the big line as much as they can, and then they also have to know to do that checking part as well. I spent a lot of time with the guys up in Oilers Nation this past weekend, so I got to hear as much Oilers talk as you could possibly think of. They didn't sway me, but I am of the belief that Edmonton's going to take them out. I don't think they're going to take them out that easily as everybody thinks. Oilers in 4 or 5. No. It's going to go 6 or 7. I think LA is not going to go down without a fight. Would I be shocked if LA took out Edmonton. No, I wouldn't be. But I'm still going for those Oilers, man. And that, I guess that kind of leads us into our next part is, with us being part of the Nation network of podcasts, and we are Flames Nation. Shot Down to Flames is our podcast. I got called up to Nation head office up in beautiful Edmonton this past week to sit in with the team and do some work there and meet the guys and go on a couple different podcasts. I went on Oilers Nation and Oilers Nation Real Life podcast there, so I got to tell some stories on that one. Overall, a great experience to be up there with those guys. I know on our podcast we kind of reveal a little secret that we don't actually hate Oilers Nation that much. We hate the idea of it, but we don't actually hate Oilers Nation because they're technically our coworkers and they treat me damn good whenever I go up there. So I got to ask you, I went to sorry, not a Flames game. I went to the Canucks Oilers game on Friday night at Rogers Arena, and that was my first experience at Rogers Arena ever. Have you ever been to Rogers Arena or Rogers Place, whatever it's called?
Yes. I went there in 2017 for a Roger Waters concert.
Oh, so you haven't actually seen a game, but you've seen the arena.
No, I haven't seen a game yet. But maybe next season. I mean, who knows?
Are you talking about next season or are you talking about next round? There you go. If both teams do their part, Noah, there's a good chance that both you and I are going to go kick it with the Oilers Nation crew up there. I will give you the.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say it'll be intense, and those guys are also intense too when it comes to their fan base. Those Oilers Nation guys up in Edmonton, they're absolutely loved by their fan base, and it was really cool to see.
One thing I'll say is that if a Battle of Alberta in the second round happens, I think I may leave social media for a week and a half. I might have to log out of all my accounts, man, because it's going to be a disaster.
Well, now that you're with Flames Nation, I don't think you can do that, man. You're going to have to deal with it. But a big shout out to the guys at Oilers Nation with Jay and Tyler, Bag Milk. We've got who else is there? Nation Dan. We've got Rick. There's still so many of them that were so good to me. And these guys, they go pretty hard. We went pretty hard a couple nights at one of their sponsors, the Pint. The Pint used to be up in 17th Avenue here. We had a spot at the Pint on Saturday night after the game, and let's just say I definitely floored it on that one. And I was a hurting Albertan on the way back home on Saturday. So again, big shout out to those guys. And my final thing about that is we just wanted to kind of reiterate that I spent some time up there with the guys up at Oilers Nation just to see what they're all about, because those guys have a pretty big crew of guys on Oilers Nation that are all amazing creators and writers and content creators and YouTubers and that kind of stuff. And that's what Noah and I are trying to build up at Flames Nation here. So we're going to just be continuing to put it out there, but we're always looking for people that want to create content and Flames minds and guys that have ideas and stuff like that to join myself and Noah or create a podcast, do something on YouTube. We're looking for people like that right now. So that's what I did up there. And it was a blast. So moving on from that, we're going to keep the playoff talk kind of alive. And as we mentioned on our last podcast, we're trying to do things a little bit different and a little bit unique. And Noah and I kind of came up with this idea. We were kind of texting back and forth, looking for ideas, and we kind of stumbled across a pretty cool one. We're both big fans of Flames and Flames playoff runs, and obviously revert back to 2004 when that was the greatest run of Flames history, other than the Stanley Cup run, obviously. But people still talk about that roster today. They still talk about the players that, whether they were on the team full time, whether they were there just for the playoff run, they still get talked about today. The clips are everywhere. So Noah and I wanted to figure it out. If you were to take the 2004 team and compare it to our current roster in 2022 right now, what are some players that we can compare? That who would be this year's that person or that whoever it was? Noah, if you have one off the top of your head, let's just get this rolling right now, because we got a bunch of them.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you talk about, trying to compare 04 with this year's roster. So first and foremost, what is not different is, of course, the head coach, Daryl Sutter. Yep. He was there in 04 with the team that got to within one win. Well, probably should have won in game 6, but different argument.
We can say it was in. Yeah, but
I said it even when the Flames got Zadorov. I was like, man, this is this team's next Krzysztof Oliwa, essentially. And the Polish Hammer. So just a big body and
Yeah.
very physical and just
Intimidating, yeah.
intimidating presence. Like even like Oliwa was, because he was only there for like 68 regular
Yeah,
season
he just played a
games.
regular season, right? Yeah.
And we even talked about Lucic being this team's Chris Simon, who came
Yes.
at
Yeah.
that deadline in 04.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a very quick question here,
Sure.
Printzy. So take a guess as to how many penalty minutes combined Lucic and Oliwa had without looking it up.
From this year to his year in 04
In 04, yeah.
combined,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say around 420, maybe
497.
497. Oh man, and I'm assuming Oliwa was the one that had a significantly amount more than
Yeah,
what
he did.
Lucic has, right?
As a flame,
As a
yeah.
flame, yeah,
Oliwa
yeah.
had in that year, Oliwa had a significantly more amount of penalty minutes that year than Simon did after he came to the Flames from the New York Rangers.
God, yeah. I like that Chris Simon to Lucic comparison. Because I believe in that playoff run. I mean, it's been almost 20 years right now. From my memory is Simon played up and down the lineup.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so he would have played on the top line at a little bit.
He
Now,
did, yeah, with Connie and Iggy.
Yeah, and now do I see Lucic moving up and playing on the top line
No.
in the 2022 playoffs? No, I don't. But every now and then you see him out on the power play. You see him get thrown into places like that. And I think I looked it up. Simon had 5 goals on that playoff run.
He
5
did.
goals. Yeah. So imagine if Lucic put up 3 goals, or and they're all timely goals, right? Like we posted that clip a long time ago on Flames Nation. Simon scoring. I think it was in game 3 of the finals, and it's just.
Mm-hmm.
The electricity of when a guy like that scores, it's unmatched. And just even thinking about what's going to happen if Lucic scores at home at the Saddle Dome, that place is going to erupt. Yeah. So those are good. Those are good comparisons to start. I think I want to get the obvious one out of the way before we start getting into ones where fans are actually going to debate. It's fairly obvious to the comparison of what was the best part and maybe the best player of 04 is Kiprusoff, and we have our goalie right now. So if you were to compare them, I know it's the obvious one. We don't have any other goalie options. So Markstrom to Kiprusoff is the number one comparison, I would say. And I don't think any fans are going to disagree with that one, because I don't think if the Flames were to have rolled with Big Save Dave, or they were to kept Cam Talbot, I don't think that they would be in the position that they are today. So
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to disagree with me on that one. I think that's
No.
the fairly obvious one. And Kiprusoff was an interesting one because he got added that year, and I don't even think anybody knew who he was, right?
No.
Nobody knew that year we got traded. I think it was for either a 3rd or a 4th round pick to San Jose, and it ended up being Vlasic.
Marc-Edouard Vlasic, yeah.
They drafted, so it's not. It is what it is. We got our franchise goalie, and I remember my dad was pissed because he's like, "We're giving up assets for some no-name goalie," and the rest is history, man. He's you don't see him much in the city, but he's an icon in the city too. So. My next one here that I'm going to throw, that I'm going to throw it back to you, is I'm going to go, this is going to be bold too. So I'm going with our Jerome McGinley of the playoffs this year is going to be Matthew Tkachuk. Do you agree with that one, Noah?
In the playoffs?
In the playoffs, yeah.
That's a tough one, because you're talking about, a guy who was the second best player right behind Johnny Gaudreau.
Right.
I would probably put Johnny Gaudreau as my Jerome McGinley, quite possibly. Okay. Because
no, that's fair.
I look at what Daryl did with Jerome in 04 and how Jerome's game elevated, and he probably arguably played the greatest hockey of his entire career. I see flashes at that with Johnny. That's I really do.
Yeah. That's good, man. No, I like that. I that's what I kind of went back and forth with. And I think in terms of production and points, and obviously, hey, people are listening, they know the game is different. It's not, if you compare someone to 04, they're like, oh, Johnny wouldn't survive. Yeah, we know that. This is just a comparison exercise. The reason that I did Tkachuk was how many times did Ginla drop the gloves in the playoffs? a
That's
couple
true.
different times on that run.
Well,
So-
I think even you saw flashes of that with Kachuk in the bubble where he was
That's where I was going.
fighting Blake Wheeler, he was fighting Corey Perry,
Exactly.
and then man, he was on the way to doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And
He
that's
got injured
that's
in
why.
the series.
Yeah, I mean that's too bad. I was thinking about that too. I don't know if that really would have made a huge difference with how we were playing. It might have, but that's why my comparison to Jerome McGinley is you're going to get somebody that scores, you're going to get somebody that hits, that's fights, that's in your face, that kind of stuff, and that's what we need in the playoffs. So let's keep rolling here, Noah. Throw me a comparison here.
Elias Lindholm, Greg
Yep.
Conroy.
Okay, there you go. I like that one. I like that too. Yeah, the top center, the guy that's going to score a goal. He's probably going to pot an overtime goal. He's probably going to score a big goal. We need that. Yeah, we need that. I like that. I do like that comparison too. Let's try
Chris Tanev, Rhett Warner.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think if fans are watching this on YouTube, they'll see the Rhett Warner behind me, and we'll probably get into a story about that on another day about why Rhett Warner. I like him so much, but so why are you going Tanev with Warner?
Well, it's just like Rhett was in that run, just the typical stay-at-home defenseman, and that's exactly the same thing with Chris Tanev that I see.
Yeah, I agree, and I went and looked back a little bit, and the Flames actually did play Warner a fair amount in 04. I think as the series got on, he probably going to be like a Tanev and have some wear and tear on the body. So I like that one. That's a bit of an out there. So I mean, if you go back to the defenseman too, I would probably almost say like if you look at Regeer, maybe like a Gabranson style, big, tough, strong, physical, might end up fighting. It's going to penalty kill for you a lot. It's going to play a lot for you. Might get a goal here and there. Just might get one.
Well, it's funny you talk about that. So my Reggie and Jordan Leopold line pairing, if I were to use this team with that team, I would probably say Hannafin and Rasmus is my Regeer and Leopold.
Okay, yeah, that's a good comparison because Leopold was a young defenseman in 04. Right. He had just broken into the league, right? Yeah. So I mean, obviously Hannafin is a young defender, but he's not just broken into the league. He's been into the league for a very long time. So I like that comparison, man. So we got some stuff going there. Let's try to do a little bit of the not so even obvious ones. And this is one that kind of kickstarted the conversation. It was Mike Gould that put this out on Twitter. He said, "Is this year's Matthew Lombardi Dylan Dubé?" Do you agree with that one, Noah?
I would agree with that.
I think that's what kicked off the conversation. So thank you.
Very underrated, not being as talked about as some of the top guys. Yeah. And I mean, obviously the thing with Lombardi was he got knocked out of the playoffs thanks to Darian Hatcher, who basically cheap shot him, and in an era where hits like that you get away with basically. But I would say, I would definitely agree with Mike. They were saying Lombo, like Dubé is the Lombo of this playoff. So we had to compare it. But
yeah. I agree. And that's, like I said, that's kind of what kicked off this thought process for me. And Dubé is getting hot at the right time, or he got hot at the right time heading into the playoffs. A good young guy that you don't think might not score a whole lot. Obviously, we don't hope that for the same outcome as Lombardi, where he got taken out in the second round, and I didn't even see much from him. And it was on Flames Nation Radio with Pike and Shane. They talked about the 04 run a little bit, and Pike said that, it is what it is. What happened on that call, we all know that it was in or whatever. But Pike had an interesting point saying that the Flames probably would have won that. They just ran out of bodies. They flat out ran out of bodies. Like it was getting to the point where the Black
Aces. It was getting to the point where the American League was practicing with the team. Like Martin Sonnenberg was practicing before.
Yeah, and they mentioned Brennan Evans was playing games and stuff like that. And like they didn't actually get Tony Lidman back until the final round. And like, we all love him, and he's a fan favorite. And I can guarantee that we're going to run into him at some point during this playoff run. As Mike Commodore was playing fairly regularly. He wasn't a regular body, and we all love him to death. And Steve Monador, he was playing as well too. So I thought that was a good point by Pike and those guys. I mean, obviously we're not here to make excuses. We didn't win, but they just flat out ran out of bodies. So
funny thing too about Leopold, I should bring up is because he said it on an interview, I want to say 2 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic on 960 was basically he lost 2 years of his career dealing with injuries because of that. Like he was
because
not
of
the
that
same
playoff
player because
run.
of that run. No,
Oh wow, okay, yeah, I didn't know that either. And they even had the lockout the next year, so maybe he didn't even play. But yeah, those
no.
guys would have had some wear and tear. And I was looking at some pictures today. There's some battle scars on those guys, so they
Oh, ton.
definitely earn those for sure. So one of the players that I think everybody wants to hear the comparison because you see it on Twitter already, is everybody's saying, who's going to be this year's Jelena? Who's going to be the guy that just puts teams away, that scores at will, that moves up on the line? So who do you got, Noah? Who's gelling up for you
Tyler
this year?
Toffoli.
That's yeah, that was a quick
Tyler
answer for
Toffoli.
you. Yeah, Tyler Toffoli. So you think Tyler Toffoli is going to step in and win some games for us? You think he's got a couple
Experience,
overtime? Yeah.
clutch.
Mm-hmm.
Experience clutch, has scored many, many great playoff goals in the past for the LA Kings. And
Yeah.
I don't think any of that's going to change either. And he did the same with Montreal last year. We
Yeah.
literally forget that this guy was with the Montreal Canadiens in the Stanley Cup final last year.
Yeah, I know it's hard crazy to think that because of how bad Montreal was this year, right? Like they finished in last, they're gonna get the first overall pick probably. So it's forgotten that he was, he's the one that took out the Golden Knights and what he did in LA. And I do like that comparison because I could be wrong here, but I believe that Martin Jelena would have won a cup. I think he was with the Oilers, maybe.
Edmonton, yeah,
Yeah,
19.
so he's won that one too. So I'm just trying to think if there's anybody else, Noah, that we might have placed. Oh yeah, we wanted to talk about Sean Donovan. Sean Donovan was
Right.
he scored some goals. Like he obviously wasn't a first or second line player, but going back and looking at the highlights, that guy scored some big goals too. So
Clutch goals,
yeah, clutch goals. So who do you think that person is in kind of the bottom six, I would say, or that you can rely on, that you're thinking this year, this guy's gonna be like Donovan. He's just gonna pot one when we're down 4-2 in a game. Donovan would be the guy that would pot one to make it 4-3 and get it going. So who do you think
Oh
that could
boy.
be?
Oh, that's you put me on the spot there.
Don't worry.
That's
I know.
definitely
No,
not
no,
an
don't worry.
easy
Don't worry.
one.
I have it in my head, so I know. I'm going with Blake Coleman on that one.
Oh yeah.
And not, like I said before, it's a comparison to 04 to 2022. Donovan was a big body. He was a big guy. Coleman's not exactly a big guy, but he plays
got
big.
speed.
He skates hard, he checks hard, he's in your face, and he scores goals. At time at timely in a timely manner.
Yeah.
He's not gonna score every single night, but if we can get him to score in a timely manner when we need it the most, kind of like I mentioned, when we're down by 2 and he gets one right as the second period ends, I think that's something that could be huge for the Flames. So that's it.
So one question then
Yeah.
too. Do you see Andrew Mangiapane then being this year's Ville Nieminen?
Yeah, maybe. Do you think he's gonna go purposely run Cujo like Nima did in 2004? I found the clip the other day of him doing that. So to a degree, yeah, I think so. I think that might be a good kind of a small junkyard dog style, right? Like a little bit of like
Gritty.
gritty, kind of like
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm an equipment snob, kind of weird equipment, like Mangiapane's helmet. I don't know if you noticed that. It's like sideways the whole time.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Notice that.
Neiman kind of has had weird equipment too. So yeah, that's a good comparison too. I just don't think he'll be starting as many fights. But again, this is the third time I'm saying it's not 04, man. It's 2022.
No, it's not
You
04.
can't exactly run the goalie and only get one game suspension. I'm pretty sure you'd be getting kicked out of the entire playoffs for that.
And
So
you can't try to drive Vinny Lecavalier's head through the boards and get suspended.
right, exactly. So, but we'll see. We're only doing this because we know right now that they're playing the Dallas Stars. We're hoping, cautiously optimistic, that there will be more games after the first round, right, where we can continue to have these debates and we can actually do some real-time comparisons. If Dylan Dubé happens to have a 2-point night, we can go back and say, yeah, we called him as our Lombardi. And Toffoli gets an overtime winner, we can actually refer back to Noah saying Toffoli was the Jelena. So I think that was kind of a cool little exercise, and it kind of teases up to the playoffs. So we'll kind of wrap things up here, Noah, and I guess my final thoughts is, are you ready? Or are you ready for playoffs right now? Like, we've been sitting here waiting for a couple days, waiting over the weekend. We know we've clinched for a long time. It's been a long year. Last year was frustrating, finishing 4 points out and watching Montreal do that. Are you ready for playoffs now?
I'm sick of Wayne. Let's get it on. Let's get it going, man.
And actually, this will remind me for our visual part, and we'll probably make this into a social clip. is Noah's wearing quite the Flames retro shirt. So if you could kind of pop up there. So what does it say? Slap shot. Calgary Flames. Is that 1989? Is it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually 1990. You would have had
Oh,
Lanny
1990. Right.
if it was 89.
So
Let's see here.
how did you get that?
So a new vintage shop on 17th Avenue opened. It's called From Another.
Yeah.
And I was just browsing around just to see what the buzz was about because this place had just opened.
Yeah.
And I was browsing through the t-shirt aisle and I saw this t-shirt and I was like, holy crap. Who made this thing?
I caught it right at the start too. I was like, okay, that's pretty good. We're hearing that on Thursday. It's actually supposed to be in the double digits for weather. Obviously, it's an 8 o'clock game, so it might be a little cooler later. So I would say rock that, Noah, but I've got something for you to wear on Thursday, which the guys at the Nation head office hooked us up with, and I've got a couple more what I'm giving Noah to give away to the fans. So we're going to end it on that. And that's what we want is we want people to come join us on Thursday. Come by, have a beer, have 2, have 10, doesn't matter. We're going to be there hanging out. We're going to get some content. I know that there's some alumni guys there. So we're going to go see who we can talk to. And my buddies are coming down. Noah's buddies are coming down. And hopefully if this goes well, that we'll be able to do this more and, shift it maybe to a bar setting, but we just wanted to try this out. So Noah, you're looking forward to Thursday, right? Oh, you're looking forward to Tuesday. What am I talking about?
1,000%. I don't think I'm even ready for Beasley's. Are you ready?
There you go. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and you'll be able to actually see him doing that up in the press levels because that's where his little nest is up there too. So, anyways, thank you guys for joining in. This is our first episode of we did our pilot last week, but it was kind of like a full episode anyway. So this is actually our first episode of Shot Down in Flames from Flames Nation. So thank you all for tuning in. We will be back next week. We're usually going to drop this on every Monday or Tuesday for the playoffs, and we'll kind of see what happens in the off season. My one last bit is I'm not going to reveal anything too crazy right now, but just doing a little bit of talking and some bouncing around about Flames Nation. And all I'm going to say is there might be need for another Nation brand with the other large sports team in our city. And Noah and I are going to talk about that in the next couple weeks. So Noah, thank you. Pleasure as always. Looking forward to talking to you and seeing you on Thursday, fella.
Yeah, thanks, Printzy. Thank you, everybody who supports and listens to the podcast. Go Flames, go. Can't wait for Tuesday.